Dragon Ball Super it's a wild ride, no doubt about it. Each saga brings its own energy, its own stakes, and a cast of unforgettable faces, new and familiar alike. From the spectacle that was Hit's time skip to the strategic and multi-dimensional chaos of the Tournament of Power, every arc carves out its own unique strengths that make it worth revisiting. So today, we're diving deep into what made each Dragon Ball Super saga shine. Whether it's the characters, epic moments, or transformations that had fans buzzing, let's break down what each saga nailed and how they helped shape the legacy of Dragon Ball Super. So first up, we have the tournament against Universe 6. This tournament was like a breath of fresh air for me. It didn't have the highest stakes in retrospect, but it did bring something new to the table, a clash with a whole other universe. We got a mix of fresh fighters, from Kaba giving us a taste of Saiyan heritage, to Hit's time-skipping moves that even Goku and Vegeta had a hard time dealing with. I've said previously that I don't think this saga is all that bad, it's just a little mundane. I don't know if it was because of the way it was animated or the pacing, but on paper, this tournament is a lot more exciting than it actually is. A giant robot who can't be hurt, a bear who's essentially invincible, an alternate Frieza? It should have been more exciting. Yet in saying that, I think this arc's biggest strength is one that revolves around excitement. Goku pulling out the Kaioken with Super Saiyan Blue against Hit was a pure fan service moment that Dragon Ball Super absolutely nailed. For years, fans wondered what it would be like to see Goku stack Kaioken on top of Super Saiyan, and the Universe 6 vs 7 tournament was a perfect setup for it. The stakes were high, but there was no world-ending crisis on the line, just a test of strength and skill between two universes. The build-up to that moment was intense, with Goku pushed to his limits by Hit's time skip ability, and when he finally went Kaioken times 10, that burst of red and blue energy felt like a throwback and a breakthrough all at once. It was a moment that honored the past while pushing Goku's power to a new level, giving some fans the kind of payoff they'd been craving for decades. It seems run-of-the-mill now, but when this first happened, it was a huge deal. The Zero Mortals plane in Dragon Ball Super is arguably the series' best, and that's largely because of how it transitions the show's tone from lighthearted fun to something deeply grim and thought-provoking. Up until then, Super had played with nostalgia, humor, and familiar tournament-style battles, but this arc dragged us into a dark, devastated future where hope was on the brink of extinction. Here, the stakes weren't just about who was stronger. It was a question of survival against an unyielding force that wanted to erase all mortal life. Zamasu's twisted quest to purify the universe by removing mortals completely stripped away the usual Dragon Ball formula of training, fighting, and powering up. Instead, it brought a real weight to the decisions and actions of the characters. With a ruined Earth as their battlefield and a seemingly invincible foe, every moment felt tense, almost oppressive. This shift in tone didn't just up the drama, it layered the story with dread, which is something I think has only happened twice in Dragon Ball's history. What makes Zamasu such a compelling villain is his complex, albeit twisted, sense of justice. While most Dragon Ball antagonists are motivated by power, revenge, or domination, Zamasu's mission was fueled by a warped ideology. He genuinely believed that mortals were a plague on the universe, that their freedom of choice led only to chaos and corruption. This conviction made him not just evil, but terrifyingly principled. He wasn't after authority over others, he sought to remove their very right to exist. Zamasu's extreme view of justice makes him unsympathetic in a traditional sense, yet it does add layers to his character. We don't have to agree with him to understand the depth of his conviction, and that's what makes him such a powerful adversary. But again, I don't think Zamasu is as impactful of an antagonist without the great shift in tone that this arc brought. The Tournament of Power is arguably the best arc in the series, but it is without a doubt the most exciting. Now, I do think the writers for Dragon Ball Super were a bit ambitious on this one. Writing a story where 80 different characters are supposed to have some sort of impact is a challenge I can't even begin to fathom. And how the show dealt with that challenge was on full display up until Goku used Ultra Instinct for the first time. But after that, sheesh. This arc's biggest strength is that after a certain point, nearly every episode and every fight was exciting. As the participants started to dwindle, the stakes began to swell. The lacking animation that people criticized early Dragon Ball Super for wasn't a factor at this point. If there was a pacing problem before, I think it went away by episode 110. This pacing shift allowed for better focus on key characters, giving them room to shine without feeling rushed or overshadowed. So each episode felt meaningful, with every clash carrying real weight not just for the fighters, but for the survival of everyone they represented. By the tightening roster, the tournament transformed from a chaotic free-for-all into a series of pivotal high-stakes battles that kept the viewers on edge. I can just run them off. Goku vs. Jiren, Goku vs. Kale Caulifla, Goku vs. Kefla, Gohan and Piccolo vs. the Namekians, Universe 7 vs. Annie Raza, Vegeta vs. Jiren, Frieza vs. Toppo, Vegeta vs. Toppo, and Goku vs. Jiren at the end. That's an all-star lineup, and that's all within 20 episodes. Even if you don't like Dragon Ball Super, you have to admit, that's impressive. Alright, now for the manga. The biggest strength of the Galactic Patrol arc is Moro. Now I know that probably isn't the over-the-top response you're looking for, but let me explain. Moro was a callback to a different time in the Dragon Ball franchise. No more tournaments, no more gods. He was someone that was powerful but also cunning. Moro was a villain in every sense of the word. His abilities weren't necessarily new and unique, but they did make Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the Z fighters strategize in a way they hadn't in a very long time. This arc captivates that blend of intensity and resourcefulness that made Dragon Ball Z so captivating, reminding us of the vulnerability of even the strongest fighters when faced with a foe who plays by entirely different rules. That's all because of Moro. Now you want to hear something that might be wild? Excluding the movie retellings, the Granolah arc is the worst in all of Dragon Ball Super to me. It gets worse for me as time passes, and that's mainly because I think the arc did a horrible job when it came to the antagonist, but that's for another video. I do want to give an honorable mention to the reveal of Ultra Ego because I think it had proper build-up and also gave Vegeta a separate path for power. I'm kinda sick of him and Goku always reaching for the same forms anyway. But the biggest strength of this arc is that we finally got some history for Bardock and how it relates to Goku. I know many fans prefer the original story for Bardock, but now that isn't canon. So every piece of Bardock lore is a plus to me, and that history helped Goku figure out how to fight using all of his strengths. It's a little disappointing that it had to be against a character like Gas, but I think the concept of learning more about Bardock and Goku becoming more accepting of his Saiyan lineage is a good thing. Now the Superhero Saga is a movie retelling that I have to go over because there are some notable differences between the movie and the manga. The movie tightly focuses on Gohan and Piccolo showcasing their battles against the newly reformed Red Ribbon Army with a direct and action-packed narrative that centers around their growth. In contrast, the manga version takes a broader approach. There's the expansion of the story to incorporate more of Goku and Vegeta's ongoing training with Broly on Beerus' planet, but the key difference from the movie is how it expands on Goten and Trunks' personal story. It adds depth to their characters in a way that the movie only hints at. In the manga, we see Goten and Trunks adopting superhero personas, Saiyaman X1 and X2. It lets them step into the spotlight and explore their own identities outside of the shadows of Goku and Vegeta. This edition not only develops their dynamic as a duo, but also gives a playful slice-of-life perspective that complements the more serious moments of the main plot. Their superhero antics provide a fresh layer of character growth, showing the teenage Saiyans grappling with balancing hero duties, school life, and even girls. I know I recently made a video criticizing the two, but this expanded narrative in the manga allows readers to connect with Goten and Trunks on a more personal level, making their involvement in the final showdown feeling more impactful as they mature through these experiences. So let me know what you think the biggest strengths are, and let me know where you think I went wrong. With that being said, if you haven't already, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. This is BigTune, and thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.